We begin our account not with the deeds of kings or the forging of rings, but at the very beginning, before the world itself was made, in the timeless halls of the One.
Thus, with a single, powerful utterance from the One, whom the elves call Iluvatar, existence itself was kindled. The word was Ea, let it be. And in that moment, the world that is came into being.
Ancient scrolls tell of these first beings, the Ainur, sprung directly from the thought of Iluvatar. It is said that each, in the beginning, understood only that fragment of the Creator's mind from which they came, existing with him alone in the timeless void. And so began the Aino Lindala, the great music of the Ainur. Within its glorious harmonies and jarring discords, the vision of the world was woven into being, its history, its triumphs, and its sorrows, all prefigured in a song that would govern the doom of ages yet to come. Of the Ainur, some chose to enter into the new world, which they had beheld in vision. They descended into Ea to shape it and guard it, according to the themes they had perceived in the great music. You must understand this is a distinction of power, not of kind, for all are of the same divine origin. The 14 greatest became the Valar, the architects and guardians of the new world. The lesser spirits, the Maiar, became their people and their aides in the great work. So let us now speak of the greatest of these powers. Of the 14 Valar, 8 were held chief among them. In the lore of the Eldar, these are the Aratar, the Exalted. First among them is Manwë Sulemu, the Elder King, lord of the very breath of Arda. His delight is in the high winds and the swift clouds, and his halls are built upon Tanaguatel, the highest peak of the world, from where his gaze may encompass all the lands below. With Manwë dwells Varda, queen of the stars, she who kindled the lamps of heaven. For this reason it is she whom the elves of Middle-earth, the Eldar, revere above all others. When they first awoke, it was her stars they first beheld, and so they cry her name in reverence and in desperate need. Elbereth Gilthoniel. Then there is Ol, the smith, master of the very substance of Arda. It was he who delighted in making and in craft. So great was his desire for pupils to teach that, in his impatience for the coming of the firstborn, he fashioned the dwarves in secret. Yet, unlike his rival Melkor, Ol submitted his creation to the will of Iluvatar, and for his humility was forgiven. But among these great powers was one whose theme in the music was not of harmony, but of loud and vain repetition, seeking only to increase the power and glory of his own part. In the beginning, Melkor was mightiest of all the Ainur who entered the world, but he grew impatient with the void, and his heart filled with a desire for the flame imperishable, the power of creation itself, so that he might bring forth beings of his own. In this prideful search, he strayed into darkness and became estranged from the One. And this comparison, well, it really reveals the core divergence made manifest in the very soul of Arda. You see, Eowl, the Maker, creates to give freely, but Melkor could not truly create. He could only mar, corrupt, and dominate what others had made, seeking to bend all things to his own will. His path, then, was one of escalating rebellion, from discord in the Song of Creation to the utter ruin of Valinor's light. His final defeat saw him named Morgoth, the black foe of the world, and he was banished at last from the circles of the world. Yet the Valar were not alone in their labors. The echoes of their powerful servants, the Maiar, they were sound through all the chronicles of Middle-earth, for their story did not end with the fall of Morgoth. No, indeed, it is felt profoundly even in the closing years of the Third Age. The answer, as with so many things, lies in the deep lore of the First Age. For these great figures, the wizards and the Dark Lord alike, they were not men, but Maiar, beings of that same divine order, continuing their ancient struggle in a new age. And so it is absolutely crucial to comprehend that the great figures of the later wars were not mere mortals. Sauron, the enemy, was once Myron, a great Maya of Owl's people, seduced by Melkor, and Gandalf, known in the West as Olorin, was sent to oppose him. They were angelic beings, both fallen and faithful, continuing the same strife that began before the world was even made. As chief lieutenant to Morgoth, Sauron inherited his master's malice and his desire for utter domination. He did not seek chaos, but order, to control all of Middle-earth, which the elves call Endor, under his own cold and unwavering will.
And in opposition stood Aloran, whom men would later name Gandalf. It is told that in his youth he walked among the elves unseen, dwelling often in the gardens of Lorien, and was accounted the wisest of all the Maiar.
Here, on the bridge in the deeps of Moria, which the dwarves call Khazad-dûm, one Maya confronted another. Gandalf invoked his service to Iluvatar, the secret fire, against a Balrog, a flame of Udun, which was Morgoth's ancient fortress. A truly epic confrontation. And so it is told that the deeds of the Ainur, both great and terrible, are woven into the very fabric of Arda. Their music echoes in every stone and stream. The wise call this Morgoth's ring, because just as Sauron poured his essence into the One Ring, Morgoth poured his malice into the very substance of Arda itself. This is the source of the long defeat, the marring that all who live within the circles of the world must endure. The discord of the first Dark Lord is bound into its very matter. The lore of the Eldar, passed down through uncounted years, speaks of a final hope, of a destiny that lies beyond the circles of this world. And in that final theme, it is foretold, no discord may ever again enter. The marring of Melkor shall be healed, and the great design of Iluvatar will at last be made whole, complete, and perfectly, finally understood.